Hope everyone's doing alright today. A lot of people might not be aware, but I play fighting games on a regular basis on this channel. My favourite fighting game that I play right now is Street Fighter 6. I play this game like every couple of days, maybe every 3 to 4 days if I'm not having a break or something. And I can honestly say it's my favourite fighting game right now. I'm having an absolute blast playing this game. However, I do have a concern for it, and that is that I genuinely feel like Capcom is not giving this game enough love, and the community of players that are trying to keep it alive. I was talking earlier in the Resident Evil 4 video that I done about the fact that Capcom are very anti-DLC these days for their games. They've only brung out one DLC for Resident Evil 4 in the form of Separate Ways, when the game would have much benefited from adding little DLCs along the way, some costumes here and there, but there's only ever been the couple of costumes that was at the launch of Resident Evil 4 for that game. And why am I bringing this up? It's because Street Fighter 6 is also suffering the same fate of no DLC coming out for that game whatsoever to keep its player base interested, in my opinion. This game's been out for just over a year and a half, and we have had one set of costumes made for the entire cast, which I actually think is ridiculous. Capcom have went on record saying it's a lot harder to develop costumes for the RE engine in this game, but I just feel like they're actually giving us a bunch of excuses. When seriously, like I said, Resident Evil 4 has also not received any costumes for that game. So it's not just a Street Fighter specific thing that is going on here. About the only game that is really guaranteed a big DLC or little microtransactions along the way that feel worth it are probably the Monster Hunter games for some reason. I don't understand it. It's probably because they have a somewhat consistent player base that they can get money out of, and they maybe don't feel like it's worth to do this kind of thing for Street Fighter 6. Don't get me wrong, we're getting a bunch of characters for the game. We're only getting like 4 a year though, which is a bit of a downgrade from Street Fighter 5. Now, I didn't play a lot of Street Fighter 5, but I cannot help but say I'm a bit envious of the amount of content that was coming out for that game along the years that I've seen. Christmas stages. We just passed Christmas, and I was kind of hoping we would get a Christmas stage in Street Fighter 6 because I'm sick of playing on the same stages all the time. And no like other Christmas themed costumes or anything, which they did do for Street Fighter 5. It just feels like they're absolutely not caring whatsoever for the life of this game, and I really think they need to start. Now, you won't really catch me like defending Street Fighter 5 or anything. Just look at this, for example. What do you think Guile is doing here? He's brushing his hair through a hat. Yes, so I don't need to say anything else about Street Fighter 5. There was definitely a difference in quality between Street Fighter 5 and 6. It's like night and day, don't get me wrong. But I do feel like Capcom are using the excuse of the RE engine not to make more costumes. Every time Capcom announce a new battle pass for this game, I think it's like once every 3 weeks or something, it's genuinely the most uninteresting thing I've ever seen. It's just avatar costume parts that are coming out with the odd little music selection. I just have a hard time as well believing that there's so many people out there playing World Tour. Now, you're speaking to someone who used to play fighting games a lot as a single player experience, and as much as I think World Tour is a step in the right direction, Capcom, it's no that good, man. Like, I'm not trying to be nasty about it, it's okay, but you really need to like start caring about the people who are keeping the game alive in the versus competitive side of the game, as well as the people playing World Tour. But I don't think that stuff's even good enough for them, if I was brutally being honest about it. I think some costumes for their favourite characters that they actually play in versus mode would go a long way. I just had to give my 2 cents on the situation and Capcom's anti-DLC policy that they have got going on right now. Because like I say, it's not just Street Fighter that's getting affected, and I don't think a lot of the people in the FGC are even aware that it's affecting a bunch of other games, but I will say this, I think it will affect Street Fighter the most, fighting games in general, if they don't have somewhat steady content coming in. I don't think 4 characters a year is actually enough for the fighting game going forward. I personally don't think so, and they keep using the excuse of World Tour as what's making characters take longer to come out. There's only so much excuses you can take. We've got that, we've got the RE engine, which is causing a problem with the costumes. Do you genuinely think like the first wave of costumes are even like that amazing that they were worth waiting that long on? You know, like some are okay, but some genuinely don't even look like that good. Some mods are honestly better. Like, they might not be perfect, but some mods look better than some of the costumes that were released, in my honest opinion. I'm honestly jealous of the Street Fighter V players towards the end of the game's lifespan, because I really want to see Bikini Chun-Li in this game. Yeah, I said it. I want to see a bunch of other characters' cool costumes in this game as well, and new stages. I just think, if anything's got a chance of killing Street Fighter 6, it's actually Capcom themselves with the lack of support for the game. Thanks a lot for listening to the rant, and I'll catch you in the next one.